experience the full power of the dark side. Good!
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Ah! Misa back!
Prepare to fire!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 35, recorded on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2015. I'm your host Fred, aka Sith Lord Core. And joining me tonight is the reigning commander of Sith Intelligence, Agent Louis Olan.
Hello, Fred. Hello, everyone. Hitbox, Twitch, YouTube. What is going on? And as always, greetings from Sith Intelligence.
And also here is the captain of the ship, Captain Kinbrae, aka Paige.
Thought it was time for tea with Sith Intelligence. I brought my cup and my Splenda.
No, that'll still happen. Not to worry.
We'll still have tea? Alright, I'll stay.
And also here for tea, thanks to Captain Kinbrae saying that we don't pay taxes, is Buckeye from Imperial Logistics.
Yes, I was told there might be a few monetary issues that I need to come take care of here.
Just with the smuggler.
We will see how that pans out.
What? I'm not a smuggler. I'm a captain for hire. They pay me and I pay taxes.
Sure you do. That's what exactly I've heard.
I could show you my papers, but ID 10T ate them.
And over there, playing with his hollow Rubicus, his Shriek.
Goopa noopa!
And ID 10T was trying to do math, so he's smoking in a heap over there.
Oh, is that what I... We should put that out. That might spread.
Quick, pour your tea on it! We offer free shout-outs where we'll announce birthday or anniversary wishes, as well as anything Star Wars or SWTOR related. You can find out more about the show at StarWarsBeyond.com. And this week on StarWarsBeyond.com, we had a feature from our Imperial custodian, Pele. He took the time to write an article for himself, but we ended up ninjaing it from him. Not really. I asked him if he wanted to cross-post it, and he said yes! And what he did is he took 3 MMOs, Warcraft, Rift, and Star Wars The Old Republic, and compared the wait time between each of the MMOs for PvP releases. It's a really good article. Nice imagery in there. Go ahead and take a look at that. We're also now available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SWTORnetwork.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/StarWarsBeyond Podcasts. Tweet us at StarWarsBeyond. And our usual record time is Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/NoSHTGaming and hitbox.tv/StarWarsBeyond. And I guess I'll go ahead and go into what's coming up in the Captain's Log. We have our last week in game, tonight's discussion, the community stream about the Yavin 4 Stronghold, played as a Togruta, or as everyone in the chat was calling it, Tortilla.
Tortuga?
Yeah, Tortuga. They also call it Tortilla. Agent Olan's intelligence report, Relu will present the Imperial Senate, plus the weekly winner of the Agent Star Wars Trivia Question of the Week, and your feedback in our community holo feed.
And as always, we do have something quick to mention, and this week it'll be really quick, I promise. So, update 3.3 goes live tomorrow on the PTS. So get on there and test out the changes to PvP so Bioware can see if they work well. So if you are a sub and you have time, please go out there, give them your feedback, let them know how things are working or aren't working.
That's right, fresh off the stream. It's coming out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, then I guess we'll go ahead and move into the captain's log. And first up is our weekend game, and we're going to start with our guest. Buckeye, what'd you do over the last week?
Oh, well, I finally found a couple people to fill in on my old raid team, or now new raid team. And sadly, they've never really done any progression raiding before, so it was fantastic gearing them up and teaching them the first 2 bosses of hard mode on Ravagers and Temple of Sacrifice. And I actually moved a character over to Jungma off of Shadowlands to, for some reason, to play with my my bearded idols. And as much as I'm looking forward to it, I kind of have a bad feeling about it.
Can't imagine why that would be.
Was that like an attempt to be clever? Was that what you were doing there?
Infringing on Paige's territory.
Ouch.
Are you gonna listen to me this weekend on GGC? You are. I answered for you. You are. You're gonna be there.
Totally.
When I read that, I actually was like, that looks like something Paige would put in the notes.
I'm quite punny. Deal with it.
Oh dear. Don't audit me.
Be careful what you say. I have more power than the IRS and the U.S. military combined.
And that's saying a lot, folks. Trust us on that.
Audit me now, and I will become more sad than you can possibly imagine. So, Paige, what did you do over the last week?
Well, since you were being such a Sudoku head and didn't want to play with me, and since like all of our characters are on the same missions and we play all of them together at all times, I got stuck doing tacticals. I did them on my operative because I missed her, and y'all know how I feel about PvP in the game right now. It was fun, easy, and there's really not much to say about it. Just running around, I mean, it's kind of boring to me, but whatever. I did see a hairstyle on a female that caught my eye when I was in my last tactical before we started the show, and I didn't get a chance to find out what it was called, but it was a really cute, like, side swept pixie cut, and I might even use it. At first, I thought it was the pompadour. I was like, no. And then I took a look at it. It's definitely not that. I don't know what it is, but it's really cute.
Wait a minute. I thought when I looked over your shoulder, as I tend to do when you're gaming, I thought you were playing your commando.
I did that briefly.
Oh.
It was even twice as boring as playing my operative.
But you had a big gun.
So?
Yeah. That would be boring when Arx was trying to have kittens with you.
He wasn't there. I left him at home.
Put him on the escape pod with Quinn and blow it up. So, Lou. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Red mark going in the notes this week.
Yeah, pretty much work kept me busy this whole week. So I really had no gameplay to speak of. Going this whole past few days, I was either opening and closing. By the time I get home, it's like, you know what? I'm going to bed.
What do you mean your Ewok ate your homework? And what I did over the last week, yeah, it narrows down into 2 bullet points, although it was very time consuming. I maxed out my reputation with the Bounty Brokers Association, finally, but that gets me virtually nothing because the way that reputation works is I need a whole bunch of contracts to actually buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So having the max rep does nothing for me because I still need to run the event a billion times to get contracts. That kind of sucks, but, you know, it is what it is. Fortunately, on Jedi Covenant, I bought the entire armor set back when you could buy them with credits. Alright, and then I got my Sentinel to level 37, and I just finished Balmora. And it was literally the fastest I've ever done Balmora on anybody.
Balmora?
Yeah. And with 12 times XP, even faster. Just
12 times XP is like...
just makes the pain go away much faster on Balmora.
It's like the normal barfing noise, but you're getting punched in the stomach at the same time. Alright, Lou, so what do we got for our discussion tonight?
Alright, for our discussion topic tonight, if you're unaware or maybe just caught wind of it right now, today BioWare did have a live stream, alright, where they were showcasing the new character race that's going to come out soon, the Togruta.
The tortilla.
Yes, or the Tortuga.
Tortilla.
with many different variations of the name. And they also showcased the Yavin 4 Stronghold. That's coming out. Alright, so a couple of points we want to bring up. The Togruta race, they are aiming to release this new character race when 3.3 releases. Alright, today's live stream, they only showed the female character, as the male Togruta was not available to show off on the stream.
Alright, now let's start right here. They're aiming to release... See, these bullet points, they're not necessarily in sequential order because I made them literally as the stream was going, so as they gave us information, the bullet points got slotted in.
Mm-hmm.
But 3.3 is targeted for July 21st. That is just over a month away.
Right.
And they didn't have the male Togruta available to display. And they're aiming to release this species on July 21st. But Moscow, of course, did the usual and caveated 3 or 4 times that it could be pushed back. So how confident do we feel that this species is going to be coming out on July 21st when they aren't able to show us a male model?
Absolutely none.
I think it's going to end up being pushed back.
Yeah, I am of the same thought as Buckeye and Paige that it's probably going to be pushed back because even though they couldn't showcase the male version, the male Togruta, all right, when you look at the female Togruta character that they were able to show, right, it's pretty much just the same humanoid body, all right? The only thing that's really changing is the head. And, of course, the Togruta have the additional head appendages and such going on the front and in the back as well, all right, similar to the Twi'lek with their Leku. And just the variations of the skin colorings and patterns that you can have. And the fact that during the live stream they were saying, I believe Musco and oh my gosh, who was the developer they had on? Toby?
Yeah, Toby.
All right.
Yeah.
They were both reiterating that, the character development was still ongoing. Okay, there were still people working on it every day. And the moment I heard that come out of their mouths, I was just like, okay, you want this to release soon. Okay, and the first words out of your mouth during the live stream is that people are still working on it. At this point, I think a lot of folks just wanted to hear with confidence that this race is ready to go.
And this species leaked out last year during the winter time, possibly earlier than that. It came out at a community cantina, leaked out. So we knew Togruta was coming for a long time now.
Right.
And the fact that they only have a female model that was playable, that pretty much she's almost a one-for-one Ashara Zavros customization.
Right.
That's something that we had both said when we were watching that. But there's something that I'd like to say about this. We've known that the Togruta have been coming almost a year, maybe a year, and to me it doesn't look good when they're really casual about their live stream. Okay, here we are, we're gonna make jokes, and oh my god, I'm gonna get up in the middle of it and walk around. No, but what they don't realize is that you're making a presentation to basically your clients, and to come forward and say, no, you've known about this for a really long time. I don't have a definite timeline for you. I kind of have a wishy-washy one. It might get pushed back. Very likely, since I don't have half of the work on this to present to you. 50% of it's female, 50% of it's male. And I think it does look really bad when it looks like they copy and pasted Ashara to be the female.
I actually think that they may just also... They showed that version of it. The other problem might be they don't have all the customizations up for them yet. And that's a whole nother issue after you actually have the models built. I would assume. I don't really have any, programming or data mining experience like some other people have accused me of.
Well, coupled with this, though, there are, with NPCs and companions, there are male and female Togruta models already in the game. And I know games as far back as EverQuest had the ability to take control of NPCs. So it should be basic that they could copy and control an NPC look as a character. So to see the female Togruta that they had and see that it wasn't a model that isn't already in the game. She looks basically like one of the NPCs from Terrace. To see that it wasn't a custom model and that they only had the female available, I get the impression that they just started working on the species this month. Because it doesn't seem like it would take that long to get as far as they are. I don't believe that they have worked on the Togruta for as long as we've been led to believe. Because one question that I continuously asked in the stream, and they finally answered for me, is what is the Togruta racial ability? And they said, both Moscow and the developer that's working on this said, the Togruta racial ability has not yet been decided.
It seems like they haven't really planned out the Togruta. I mean, they said, yeah, we're going to do it, but they're just now putting their idea together. And that doesn't inspire much confidence. I mean, if I were buying a product from these people, I'd probably walk away from the table. You don't have anything to show me other than something I've already seen? That's okay.
Right. And the fact that, as Fred pointed out before, there are already male and female Togruta in the game as NPCs. So, again, the concern that I had was that when they mentioned that they didn't have a male version to display for the live stream, of course, one of the thoughts popped in my head, well, you already have them as NPCs in the game. What do you mean you don't have a player version ready to go? Again, like I said, none of us here are programming geniuses or programmers to begin with, but the fact that you already have the assets built into the game, how much harder or how difficult would it be? Again, caveating none of us here are programmers, but a logical question is, so what is the problem when you already have most of the work done for you? All you have to do is make it player enabled to where it's actually a player species that we can fully control as an avatar.
I really believe that they just started working on this species. And
right.
I think that they may be able to get this ready and out for update 3.3 if all that they're doing is literally copying the NPC model for the Togruta and making it so that they add new patterns that aren't already available, so that there's a wide variety of patterns you can put on there and colors.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, as we know with all species, they reuse the same faces. So the only thing that they will have to make assets for is the patterns and the colors, and just copy the model.
Yeah, as Lou said, they already have the humanoid body in there, so really they only need to work on the head.
Right, and the fact too that, again, since the Togruta already exist in the game as NPCs, I don't know how much more difficult, again, would it be for them to customize the armor sets that are out there already for the players, okay? Because, of course, one of the issues we've known in the game for a long time is the fact that the Twi'leks like to always clip into the armor or into the weapons, what have you, and I think eventually they're going to run into the same, or not eventually, but they will run into the same problem here. All right, because you can set what the NPCs are wearing in the game and then hardwire that with no issues. But again, all four of us here are all, live players, four distinct play styles, distinct tastes in how we want to dress our avatars. And eventually all four of us are going to find issues to where, Buckeye will say, oh my god, this race looks terrible in this armor. And this is the look I wanted to give this character, and yet it looks like crap because everything's clipping or nothing's really meshing together very well, and it looks horrible in the end.
Well, they were very careful with the female that they showed, and they dressed her in the Hutt ambassador armor so that it would all be low armor and nothing would be raised up for the headtails to clip into. And I think we all know when this species comes out, there's going to be clipping issues. And there's going to be a lot of head pieces that when you wear them on a Togruta, they don't have a graphic. Because they're not going to redo art assets for this. They're just going to hide those assets that clip badly. Same thing that they do with the Twi'leks.
I don't want it to sound like I have no intentions of buying and playing a Togruta. I already do. I already have an idea in place, and the one that they showed, as generic as she looked to me, she was still beautiful. She still moved well and everything. I don't want to sound like I'm being too negative about it. I'm still going to play it, just I don't enjoy the way that they presented it, that's all.
Right, and yeah, and I definitely want to reinforce Paige's point there. It's like, no, it's the fact, I really look forward to this species. I mean, to me, I think we're overdue for a new species anyway. All right, my own personal opinion, so I'm glad they're bringing it out. But, yeah, of course, it could have been a little bit better with the live stream and how they presented it, and probably in the future they'll work on it. Hopefully they'll get OBS working for them.
Well, first off, being a game development studio, they shouldn't be using OBS. They have money that they could pay for a paid streaming software. And second off, their stream quality was horrible. Oh. I don't know what their settings are, but every time they moved, everything was so blurry you couldn't even see the details on anything.
Yes, I noticed that, and I know a lot of people in chat were just giving suggestions how to fix it too.
If he stood still for about 3 or 4 seconds, everything cleared up really nicely. But he was running all over the place. I mean, he was trying to show you as many things as he could in the time that was given, but that made it so you couldn't really see anything because it was also patchy and blurry and pixelated.
Well, I'm sorry. As many streams as they've done in the past, they should know how to set OBS to look clear. Our videos are run on OBS, and they don't look like that. All of our YouTube videos come from OBS, recorded in-game, and you don't see it blur constantly. So I don't know what they have their stuff set to, but it's obviously wrong, and it should have been fixed long before now, especially when they're trying to showcase new art assets.
Right. Well, my take on that is they should have prepared. They should have rehearsed beforehand. They should have done a quick 5-10 minute stream earlier today just to test it, make sure everything was set, and then walked away, left everything as it was, and then come back to the actual live stream.
Well, what was really infuriating was when the stream started, the point finally came where the graphics got so bad that the whole stream just locked up and all you could hear was the audio. Like, this stream froze. And so Musco was like, okay, we need to reboot OBS. So that took like 15 minutes before they came back. And then he said that if they had problems like that again, they were just going to postpone the stream until tomorrow. And I'm like, I got out of work early today so I could come home and watch this stream. And now you're just going to move it till tomorrow if you have problems? That just seems really crappy to me when the players adjust their schedules and stuff to be there to watch the stream, and then you're just going to push it to the next day like it's no big deal.
As I've said about BioWare before, and namely it appears to be a Musco problem, is that they're reactive instead of proactive. As Lou said, there should have been some preparations in place before they did this, and I said to you when we were watching it that they're just so casual about it. I mean, it annoyed me so much that he got up in the middle of the stream and walked behind Toby and went and talked to someone in the background. That irritated me so much.
He's just like, that is so rude.
It's so unprofessional and it's rude. It is. I hated it. Like I was so hung up on it. I was like, is this guy serious right now? I don't know. They're very unprofessional to me. Like I said, you're trying to present something to your clients, and the best you can do is, well, I don't know. We'll just maybe have to push it back tomorrow. No.
And then there was a point toward the end of the stream when they were trying to decide what to show next, and Paige is like, they didn't rehearse any of this. They didn't have a plan or anything.
Right.
Like they didn't allot any time for anything. They're just like, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Well, the thing is, like I said before, they should have prepared better. Okay, I don't think that's in question, and I really think they should have had an outline prepared to say, okay, this is what we're doing for the first 15 minutes. We're showing this. 20 minutes, we're doing this. 15 minutes, we're doing this. At least have a timetable in place to where they know the topics they're supposed to focus on, which ones to move on next.
Well, be sure you pencil in 15 minutes for the stream to be down.
Right. Well, not saying. And then, again, that because we should move away from this. But in the end, yeah, they should prepare better, rehearse better, and come off as more professional. Because they to me, it just came off as juvenile in presentation. It looked as if They just left their office and were told, hey, do a live stream 20 minutes ago.
One thing that really, really annoyed me was there were certain people in the chat that were spamming the chat over and over again. Just a few people kept pasting these like images and stuff that they were making with various symbols into the chat room. And Tate asked them to quit spamming the chat, and they kept doing it. So rather than banning those few people from the chat room, they slowed the chat room down so everybody could only post every 120 seconds. So all of the people that weren't abusing things couldn't ask questions to get answered because a few bad apples just kept spamming the chat every time they had an opportunity.
Well, let's hope players will write in and say, hey, next time have an actual moderator police the chat, because that's going to work. What they did before, what Tate did today, yeah, it worked, but you know what? You punished everyone else who wasn't spamming chat and couldn't keep up with Eric and Toby. And I wanted to bring back one of the concerns we had, where the racial ability for the Togruta wasn't decided yet. I really hope they bring that up soon. Okay, because what? Keeping to their own timetable, 3.3 should be in PTS soon, and they wish to release this by what? By July?
They might already have a racial ability. Because
right.
When I asked that question in the chat, it was almost like they didn't understand what I was talking about. But their official answer was they didn't know what the racial ability was.
Right. I think at this point, I think it's safer to say that they probably have a couple in mind, but they just haven't nailed it yet. Nailed the final one yet.
Well, I think the exact response that I got from Musco after he asked the developer was, we don't know what or if or when the Togruta is going to have a racial ability.
We mean if.
Yeah, no. The question
every other species has one. Even
right,
the
every other species has one. All right, that's almost as bad as Warhammer Online releasing with, you know, each faction only having a couple of classes, as opposed to the proposed, you know, Order was supposed to have this many classes, and Chaos we're supposed to have this. Yeah, that doesn't work. No, I'm sorry, they better be ready with that.
You know, I think we can beat this into the ground. BioWare, call me. Let me help you, because you need to get your Shiduki together, and I can really help you with that.
Well, we're here to beat it into the ground. That's why it's our discussion topic this week.
Well, we do have a lot of other things to cover in our discussion topic, such as what the Togruta is going to cost.
Well, no surprise. They said that the cost of the Togruta is going to be similar to other species, which happens to be 600 cartel points.
That's right. Now,
they did say over and over, though, that's not confirmed.
Yeah, not confirmed. I wasn't overjoyed with the Togruta, but I was very impressed with the Abenforce Stronghold. So do we want to move into that?
Well, for the species cost, I did step away a couple times during the stream, and I did miss that part when they covered the cost. Now, what about subscribers? Will they be able to get the Togruta for free, or will they have to pay to unlock it as well?
No, it's pay for everybody, just like Cathar.
Okay.
But I mean, they only add one new species every 2 years, so it's not like they're asking for a lot for you to pay 600 cartel points.
True.
Plus, you can buy it with credits if you buy it off other players.
No, it'd be interesting to see just how bad Jedi Covenant will be with
That's why you buy
economy.
it on Shadowlands, because it is an account-wide unlock. Like the Cathar. If you buy the Cathar, you have it on all servers. So, go on Shadowlands, play your Trooper, buy it from somebody on there, and you have it on JC.
Good point. I'll most likely do that.
Just have to have the credits over on one server.
Yeah,
I'll just borrow them from Buckeye.
I am not a bank.
Except,
Buckeye Financial. You
have the words ATM tattooed on your forehead. Actually, I wrote that on there with a permanent marker. I'm not sorry.
So we're calling Buckeye the Iron Bank of Buckeye instead of Bravos.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up what we know about the species. I do hope that they get it all finalized and they actually can implement it in 3.3, because I feel like we've been waiting long enough for the species, and if it doesn't come out soon, what little hype is left for it is going to die. Because we've been hearing about it for too long now and we haven't seen it. And I really think that if they have any assets at all for the male Togruta ready, they need to tease them or showcase them soon, because what they showed today really gives me the impression that they just started working on this. Because, I mean, I don't care how limited your resources are. What they showed us today looks like something that one developer could have put together in a day. Like, that Toby guy could have done what they showed us just today, as far as the Togruta goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
You don't think that one developer could reskin a character for a model that's already in the game in a day?
Copy-paste Shara Zavros?
Yeah, like literally copy-paste a companion customization onto a character model?
I would say yes, but then we're not the technical experts here, so I really don't know how long it takes.
This is all my opinion, but what they showed us today looks like something that guy could have thrown together in one day, because they didn't show us any alternate customizations. They didn't show us a male model. It was literally one female Togruta that is almost one-for-one a companion customization.
I was hoping that they would go into the character where you make a new character and maybe just click through a couple just to show you the differences and then log on to the character that you already had. I was hoping that they would do that, but they didn't.
Yeah, but that's like Buckeye said, that's probably the last thing that they put together when they're finalizing the species, is the UI for the players.
I don't know. It really bugs me that this sounds so ridiculous, but I'm like a preemptive striker. I feel like this stuff should be wrapped up right now. They should be putting the finishing touches on this right now. Have a release date, put it in the public test server, and it's just not happening. And I believe the only reason, and I'm jumping ahead now, that this isn't being released in PTS is because they haven't finished it.
Oh, I think I hear the janitor coming.
And that restroom. Ugh. I never thought I'd get those 4 stains out of it.
Now that you're here, janitor, what did you think about the Togruta that they showed off?
Like you, I wish I'd seen more customizations, but I can kind of understand them not showing the males, because I look at, for example, like World of Warcraft. They're notorious about having the males out for months and months and seeing all that and being terribly late showing the female models. So I'm a little more forgiving on that.
You are right about that, though. Now that you've mentioned it, I do remember that happening in World of Warcraft. When they were redoing the models for everything, and they would, what is it that they had, like male dwarves and things out, like months before they released anything.
Nobody wants to see a female dwarf at all.
That was just an example. They did the same thing with like blood elves and I believe orcs too.
Well, and for example, like female Worgen, they actually had a good model in early on, and then they changed it, and a lot of people thought it was much worse as the final product.
I was going to say, you can't get much worse than the Worgen customizations.
Right, so so I'm a little more forgiving, and I do think they're probably going back through all... I mean, with an NPC, you can always pick gear that's going to look good for it, whereas I bet as much as they can, they're going to try to make the existing armor work with the Togruta head, so they've got to QA all of that. So that's going to take them some time. But it is disappointing at this point when they're saying in a month and a half they're going to have the thing out, that they're not showing the male or any of the, at least a customization that doesn't look like a Shara or the existing Togruta. Of course, it's like you say, it's hard to tell because the stream was bad, and I'm sitting there, BioWare, buy XSplit. You can get a 3-year license for $150. You'd be a lot better off.
Probably get it cheaper than that, or get a lifetime license as a company.
Well, I just looked. It's $150 with for a 3-year license with a 50% discount. So, and they get paid support and things like that. Whereas with the open source, even though it's good, you're kind of at the mercy of the developers helping you. Whereas for a company like BioWare, they like to be able to pick up the phone, the holocom and call somebody. But yeah, that, as someone who used to watch the Apple keynotes and knows how much time they spend preparing for that, it was like, come on, guys, this is your social media. You need to put your best foot forward. This isn't like, an afternoon lunch with a couple of friends telling them the stuff. You really need to have this planned out and gone over and worked on it. You want people to be excited, and when you kind of feel like you're just winging it, that's not so great.
But that's kind of how BioWare has approached this game to the community standpoint. It's very, hey, buddy kind of thing for the most part.
And that's real nice if you're buddy, but I'm not their friend. I'm their customer. And
Exactly.
if you want to sell to me, then you better sell to me. And that means you show up on your A game, because I look at that as, while it may not have been a formal meeting between me and Eric and me and Toby, I was still there. And it was just like, well, I'm going to go back to this. I don't even care. I'm going to get up in the middle of our meeting and go have a chat with someone off camera. Excuse me. Right here. This is what you're supposed to be doing for an hour. You don't have a calendar. Nobody knew where you were. That couldn't wait. They couldn't send you an email. Sit down.
Well, and if you prepare and are polished, then that gives a sense of you really care about what you're doing and what you're showing off, that you're excited to be ready to go. And when you're kind of winging, it's like, oh, hey, I just grabbed you in the hallway and asking for a quick demo, and it's like, you can be informal, but you can still be polished.
From what they showed of the Togruta tonight, how long do you think they've been actually working on it, from just what we've seen?
I don't know, but as you say, it doesn't feel like a long time. If they had shown a customization we'd never seen before, and maybe in some gear that that they would have had to adapt to the Togruta head, that would have been, a subtle sign that's like, yeah, we've been working on this for a while and we're getting some of these clipping issues mastered. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sitting there thinking, once that goes live, I'm sitting there thinking of all the Jedi Togruta we're going to be seeing because of the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and if that sucks, people are going to be unhappy and they're going to complain, and it's going to make the game look even worse. It's like, gee, you guys can't even introduce a race that looks good in the gear you've got.
Well, actually, the Togruta with the Jedi gear should look fine, because, on my Jedi Knight, I know that Sergeant Rusk is not a Togruta, but I have him as one of my companions, and he has similar head tails. And when I preview a robe on my Jedi Knight, and then I click over to the companion tab, the hood always disappears on Sergeant Rusk. So it looks fine on him.
Yeah, and I was just thinking of some of the ones with the hood down and back, how that's going to look and stuff.
Right.
Hopefully that will disappear, but, nothing as bad as the vibro blades going through the Twi'lek Leku.
I have a vibro blade that sticks through Kimbal's back meat.
Yeah, it's a little bit less of a problem when it's a companion than when it's your actual character.
The one good thing about it is, at least with some of this stuff, they're showing that they are trying to hit all areas of the game. So at least a new race is an improvement over no race. So I'm being optimistic in that regard.
What's insane, though, is it's been about 2 years since the Cathar was introduced.
Right.
This is Star Wars, and we're just now getting another species.
Well, I haven't even played a Cathar.
Yeah, I'm with Buckeye. I don't actually even see that many of them running around, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that is I don't mind the Cathar race at all, but not as a player race for my own personal taste. So
yeah, I have nothing against the Cathar. I think they're cool, and see the NPCs. There's one specifically on McKeb Imperial side. I forget his title and his name, but he's like a Buddy Type 3 or something like that. He's wearing the Imperial uniform. He's very cool looking. I just love the way he looks, but that's not for me.
Well, to be fair, you tried making a Cathar, but they don't have any good hairstyles for females.
You know what? I think the females look like garbage. Sorry.
I will say, though, I have a few Cathar that I play because I bought them, and I don't buy things that I don't use. And they did a very impressive job with the Cathar. If you look at their skin models, they developed special fur technology for them. Their skin all looks like fur. They are very well animated, and they look cool. And you can make Cathar that look really unique from other Cathar.
Yeah, I think if they had just prefaced it and said something like, this is a development server, it's a snapshot in time, it's not what we currently have, it's kind of a rough draft, you're not seeing the final product, and caveated it, 9 ways to Sunday, then people would be more accepting of it. But we're sitting there seeing it thinking, gosh, if this is the final result, we want more.
Well, this is the same company that planned an ESL event knowing that there were bugs in their game and just anticipating that they could fix the bugs in time, and they didn't, and then they ended up canceling the ESL event. So they just jumped headfirst into things without really being concerned about having a resolution for them. And I think they announced this live stream thinking that they would be further ahead and have more assets to show, and they just didn't.
Yeah, some of it, I think it felt like they were showing us the Togruta to let us know it was being worked on, and then to help add some interest into showing off Yavin 4, which I was impressed with. I mean, from a lore point, it's like, why are we on Yavin 4? But the design and look of that was really good. So,
watching the chat room, though, it seemed like more people were definitely interested in the Togruta than the Yavin 4 Stronghold.
Yeah.
And Yavin, they definitely came to the table, and we're going to be talking about Yavin here in a minute.
Right.
But the Togruta looked like they did Yavin, they really polished Yavin, and then as soon as they were done with Yavin, they just started the Togruta, which is mind-boggling because they've been talking about this species off and on for a year now.
I think
right,
that people... I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and those are totally different artists, because your environment designers and things like that are much different than your character model and animators and stuff. And as a side note, BioWare, if you need a moderator, contact me. I will put my foot down on some of these idiots on Twitch.
What I was going to say is, I feel like people would be more excited about a playable race, species, whatever, than a stronghold. It seems like with a stronghold, you go in there, you decorate, you pop in there occasionally to use your legacy storage or whatever. You don't spend a lot of time in there, but when you make a character and you're playing from 1 to 60, you're looking at that person, alien, whatever, sentient, for hours and hours and hours on end. So I can see why a playable race would generate more interest than a stronghold.
Sure, because that's your avatar. That's your wish fulfillment. That's your fantasy escape. That's what you're identifying with in the game. Whether it's an alter ego or your avatar or, your make-believe friend who's doing all these cool things that you get to witness, whatever, we build emotional attachments to those characters. And it's important that they're done right and done well.
Now, I am curious. Most of you have expressed that you haven't ever played a Cathar. Did you buy that species?
I can go first. I bought it, and I made... What did I make? An Inquisitor. And I tried so hard to make her look decent. Played her till maybe a level 11. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather be a Twi'lek. And I don't play Twi'leks either. I could not make a female character that I found, this is going to sound terrible, but attractive. You don't want to look at your character and go, man, this chick is ugly. I mean, I don't want to be like, man, she's hot, but I at least want to be able to stand and look at her. She looked like a hot mess. No matter what I did, she looked like a hot mess.
Okay. So did anybody else play, or not play, but did any of you unlock the Cathar?
No, I didn't unlock the species at all because it's my own personal taste. I just didn't feel like playing a Cathar. Coming from Star Wars Galaxies, I've played other species that I want. I hopefully that Bio will introduce later on in the game's life. The other species I played, I have are Twi'leks. I do have a couple of Twi'lek characters. All right, low level alts I haven't touched in a year or so. All right, I've also played again the other game. I've played Rhodians. All right, and I've also played Moncal and Ithorians, or the Hammerheads, as everyone knows them.
Ithorians were amazing in Galaxy.
Yeah, and I had other alien species that were available, and coming from a game, from an IP that has all these species that you've seen only for brief seconds in all the movies, all right, or if you've read the graphic novels and you've seen them in the various stories over the years, that you would say, hey, you know what, that species looks pretty cool. I want to try that out. But yeah, as for me, I haven't I've not unlocked the Cathar. No desire to. I mean, I'm glad it's there. I'm glad they give me the choices, but for me, just not to my own taste. That's all.
Yeah, there are enough. For me, there were enough races that I hadn't played. Why did I need to, pay however much it was to have another one? And it took me probably a good year and a half to at least have a character of every race. It's like, why do I need another one?
So to this day, you never unlocked the Cathar?
Nope.
What about you, Play?
I have one. I have a female Jedi Knight at 50. She's kind of a gray color with the Bo Derek braided hairdo, which is kind of funny, but I like the race. I just, I felt like, okay, she's Cathar. She is definitely going to look at things differently. Her standard of beauty was different than what a human being would be, so I kind of went with that. And the braided kind of felt like, for an active Jedi Knight was, okay, that makes sense, It's like, braid it, get it out of the way, go from there. And I've liked it. It doesn't grab me a lot, because one of the disappointing things is that with the races is sometimes the NPCs don't acknowledge you. And I know it's additional work, but one of the things I loved about the Imperial Agent storyline was there are nuances. For example, if you're Chiss versus if you're human, just as there are nuances if you're male or female in some of the things. And it would be nice if there was some acknowledgement when you buy a race, unlock it, that at least somewhere in the game, maybe in the new expansion content, they acknowledge your race or something about you. At least make it feel like, oh, hey, my choice mattered. The game recognizes it.
If they could get in a pattern of adding a new species every expansion cycle, they could easily put in a special quest chain that only that species could do, and then that would encourage people to buy it.
Or just some conversation differences is like, oh, we acknowledge you, so like the Imperial Agent, if you're human male, there's certain people you can flirt with, but if you're not human male, you don't, even if you're male, you don't have that option because of the prejudices of the Empire, which is kind of a nice, neat, subtle touch.
They have done those types of things with my female Chiss operative. She's been acknowledged as a Chiss more than she's been acknowledged as a female, probably.
Right.
And also, if you have the species unlocked and you make a Sith pureblood as an Imperial Agent, they treat you just like if you're a human. Because, the Sith are the highest of the high in Sith culture. So you don't have those alien restrictions when you're a Sith pureblood.
Right.
Which I thought that was nice that they at least thought of that and flagged you as a human when they made that unlockable.
Yeah. So, little nuances like that, attention to detail help make the, your choices. When you feel like you're just a generic alien, then that kind of a bit disappointing. So,
well, my reason for asking that question, if you unlocked the Cathar, even if you didn't play them, is because if we remember back to when the Cathar was coming, Damian Schubert was asked the question, will SWTOR be adding new species? And they said, we're going to put the Cathar out here to test the waters, and based on how they sell, we'll determine whether or not we add new species. So right away when I heard that, it was in my mind, I'm buying the Cathar, whether I'm going to play as them or not, because I want them to add new species that I might be more interested in. Because Cathar would not have been my top pick either. And in fact, I think I had the species unlocked. No, I will say I made a Cathar bounty hunter as soon as I unlocked it. But he got to like level 30 something, and then I never really did anything with him again. And then it wasn't until I got to the point where I branched off to Shadowlands that I actually made a Cathar Imperial agent and leveled him all the way to endgame. So I sat on that species for a year and a half before I did anything with it, really. But my whole motive for buying it was just to encourage them to add new species. And here we are 2 years later, and it's finally about to happen.
That tells me that they didn't sell as well as they were hoping.
No, but I was curious out of our little pool here just how many people bought it, hoping for new species to come as a result of that.
Well, that's the thing. That's a two-edged sword that they're wielding. The fact that, again, they're creating their own catch-22. You know, we're not going to create new stuff if no one's going to get it. Well, you know what? Maybe it's new stuff that no one wants. So you're shooting yourself in the foot. You know, if you create stuff that people want, great, they'll buy it. And of course, like everything else, some things are going to be hit and miss. And they have to accept that. All right, we created a new race. It didn't sell as well, but we can't let that stop us from creating new ones because maybe this race isn't as popular, the player base, as we perceive it to be.
Well, and I think sometimes KOTOR colors their view of things more than it should. You know, they're not looking at what people in SOTOR want. They're remembering all the cool things people said about KOTOR and thinking, oh, if we introduce this, it will be just as popular. For example, Cathar. A lot of people love Juhani. I'd love Juhani, but, you know, if Togruta had been asked for more than Cathar, they should have brought in Togruta first. You know.
And it doesn't hurt them to ask people what they want. I mean, like in that, what was that one post by Alex Mondi where he said, tell me about what you want with Strike Fighters. It was let's talk about Strike Fighters. That's what it was. If they come on the forums and they say something to the effect of, all right, in this forum post, we're only going to talk about the new species that you might be interested in. Tell me who you want and why. We're considering A, B, and C. Tell us if those work for you, or if not, why. It doesn't hurt for them to ask us what we want.
Well, I do think that Palais is right, and as they're looking at rose-colored glasses with KOTOR, and they're like, hey, people love Juhani, so let's let them play as the Cathar. No, people love Juhani as a companion. They don't want to be Juhani.
I like Arik Jordan. I like Arik Jordan. I don't want to be Arik Jordan.
Alright, so I think that we've covered the new species as far as we can for right now. We'll, of course, expand upon that when they give us new information, or if. And now let's talk about Yavin 4, because at first, when they announced Yavin 4, it was kind of a WTF moment for all of us. Like, why Yavin 4? Except for Buckeye, who, of course, correctly predicted that one in episode 20.
Called it.
There you go. You get your credit. Now you can leave.
Your credits are in the mail.
No, now we need your credits. Remember, you still owe us some.
I will say, from the stream, Yavin 4 looks amazing. And they really put a lot of work into this. It was like the complete opposite feelings of what I had toward the Togruta. Like, you could tell that they have poured a lot of passion and work into Yavin 4, and there are hooks everywhere.
Well, I mean, past few episodes, everyone knows my opinion about Yavin 4 Stronghold. I mean, I'm glad we're getting a new Stronghold. However, I'm still having the WTF moment with why the hell would you place a Stronghold in Yavin 4?
And I agree with that, but after seeing what it looks like, I may have to buckle and buy this one.
Oh, I'm going to admit right now, yeah, I'm probably going to get it. Because I am no way in hell ever buying the Tatooine Stronghold. Because, one, I all my past experiences with Star Wars games over the decades, I'm sick and tired of Tatooine. All right, they always keep coming back to it, and I am for one saying, please, for once in your life, whoever owns IP, get the hell away from that planet. Okay, we have an entire galaxy to work with.
And that's good news, Lou, because they confirmed in the stream that the limit of 4 strongholds will still be in place, and you can't have them all now. So looks like Tatooine will be the one that you don't unlock.
And we'll jump ahead at that point, but for me, I'm disappointed that they won't expand the limit of the strongholds, because there are going to be players out there who are going to want all of them, just because they're completionists or the fact that they like the idea of having all of them. All right, and as Musco explained earlier in the stream, all right, due to technical limitations at this time, I mean, they looked into it, but they can't do it at the moment. Hopefully, one day, as all MMOs do, they improve over time, and maybe they'll come to a point to where they say they can finally unlock that stronghold. So, you know what? Now players can have 5.
Well, you notice when he mentioned this limitation was in place and reminded everybody, he did say that when you unlock a stronghold with cartel coins, you don't have to pay a fee to reactivate it. It sounds to me like this is a grab to get people to unlock Yavin 4 with cartel coins so that they won't have to worry about paying to reactivate it if they ever suspend that one.
Especially with now that they realize that more strongholds are going to be a thing. And if the limit stays at 4 and you're going to buy a 5th one, you buy it with cartel coins and you do it with the 6th one too, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and it was funny during the stream. They're showing off Yavin 4 and it looks amazing. I mean, their stream quality was horrible, but every time they'd stand still, you could see that the stronghold itself was amazing. And people were asking about other strongholds being implemented. And Muska's like, let's focus on Yavin 4 first.
Yeah, I mean, that one hasn't even been released, and everybody's like, what's next? Well,
right.
Cool your test.
And the fact that we're paying 600 cartel coins, i.e. real money, to get the cartel coins. All right. Either way, if you get, if you're a sub, you're still paying for it. Why? Because you're paying your subscription. So, I hear people say, "Oh, you got it for free." No, you're not, because you're actually paying your sub fee to get those cartel coins to get the new stronghold.
Well, I think they perceive it as you're getting it for free because you paid your sub fee before the game ever went free to play, and all that got you was access to the game, and now they're throwing free cartel coins at you just for being a subscriber.
Right. And, with the cost of it, yeah, you probably, if you are a regular subscriber, yeah, you'll probably be able to afford it. But that being said, I would prefer that they actually had a couple more rooms available when you make the initial purchase.
Well,
right.
I'll tell you right now, I will throw money at this because this Yavin 4 stronghold is done nicely enough. I will buy cartel coins to pay them for this because they put some serious work into it.
Shoot, at this rate, Fred, I'll just buy one and give you access to it because I never spend my cartel coins. There's never anything I want. They're just thousands of them just sitting in my inventory.
Yeah, I wish they would, let us just give away our cartel coins.
I will buy the Togruta. Anything left over, I will totally put toward a Yavin 4 stronghold.
I was boycotting this whole thing because they never fixed that hairstyle that I bought. But I'm coming to realize that's never going to happen, and I don't want to be the owner of millions of cartel coins I can't use. So I think Yavin 4 is where I'm going to buckle down because I have like 3,000 of them banked now because of me not spending them. So I think it's time to actually use them. But like I said, when they do something like this, and I could tell that they put a lot of work into it, I typically don't use my free cartel coins for that. Like, depending on the cost of this, if it's like $20 equivalent, I'll actually pay $20 worth of cartel coins because I feel like giving them a little bit of extra money when they actually do work incentivizes them to do more work.
When they actually do work. I like how you say that.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times, like cartel packs, I don't consider that work. That's stuff that they should be doing to maintain the game. Extra armor skins and stuff. But like the Yavin 4 Stronghold, that needs to generate them revenue so that they build more strongholds like that because they went above and beyond with that one.
Right, but the cost, though, that's going to be one of my sore points. And let's see how much they charge for this because you're asking $20. That's almost the cost of an expansion for any other MMO that's out there right now.
That's also 2 months worth of a sub.
Yeah, and one stronghold is not effing bleeping worth it. Not by a long shot.
I don't know what the cartel coin cost of Tatooine is in Nar Shaddaa, because, I got Nar Shaddaa for free by being a subscriber. But they said that the cost for Yavin 4 will be similar to Tatooine and Nar Shaddaa. So I'm assuming that is something that costs a couple thousand cartel coins. But go ahead and talk, and I will look that up and see if Dolphy has an answer.
I'm just, to me, again, because I'm all against, I'm all for supporting a game, but I'm also against being gouged. Asking me to pay $20 for one stronghold, I could take the $20 somewhere else in other games I play, and get a hell of a lot more for my money.
Hell, you could buy an entire new game for
Yeah,
$20.
I could buy an entire expansion for games I'm playing right now with that. So again, it's not that I'm against the stronghold having a cost. I'm for being reasonable to, all right, let's make the cost commensurate with what I'm actually getting. I'm not going to pay $20 for a cheeseburger from McDonald's. That's effing ridiculous.
Well, I don't
Okay.
know. McDonald's cheeseburgers might be worth it.
What Toby said on the live stream was that when you buy it, it comes with that first large room on initial purchase. My question is, do you remember the balcony above that? Is that considered to be part of that room, or is it not because you have to go up a staircase to another room?
No, if you have to go up staircase, you got to buy it.
Staircase.
Yeah, you got to unlock
geez.
it.
Now I'm curious how many unlockable areas there are, because it's such a large stronghold. I mean, I know that there were two staircases going down, one going up, and then there's the area that's outside, there's the bridge, and then there's the stuff on the other side. Just how many barriers they're going to put up and say, to move forward, you got to pay this many credits or this many coins, whatever.
Okay, well, I have some answers here. The Tatooine Stronghold is by far the most expensive right now, which I expect Yavin to parody this, because Nar Shaddaa, for some reason, is 2,000 cartel coins cheaper, but the initial unlock for Tatooine is 2,500 cartel coins, which, if I am correct, I believe that falls somewhere in the $20 range.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right, yeah.
So, for Tatooine, if you use cartel coins all the way through, it's 2,500 for the initial unlock. It is 900 for the first room, 900 for the second room. The docking bay is another 2,000, which is ridiculous. And then the other 4 rooms are 950 each.
So what's the total?
I haven't added them all up, but we're talking thousands of cartel coins, probably close to or exceeding $100.
Yeah,
Yikes.
someone on Reddit said, and this is assuming numbers are right, that Tatooine's total cost was either 9 million in credits or over 10,000 cartel coins. Nar Shaddaa was 8.5 million credits, but almost 12,000 cartel coins. So, if you're doing cartel coins after the initial purchase, you're paying a lot of money.
Well, if you want to do that, it's probably best to buy that $99 pack where you get 14,500 for that and just unlock the whole thing at once.
Right.
I don't recommend that, though.
Or just unlock the initial area with cartel coins so you don't have to pay the reactivation fee and then, make credits the old-fashioned way by doing dailies and buy everything else in there.
Right. Which is probably the best way to do it, because making money in this game is very easy if you're doing the dailies anyway.
Yeah, credit costs for Tatooine, the initial unlock is 2,500,000, and the first 2 rooms are 800,000 apiece, which is nothing. And then the docking bay is the next most expensive one that costs 1,800,000 credits, and then every room after that is 900,000 credits. So, potentially, you could unlock almost 1 room a day just doing dailies on your characters. But, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have that many decorations. I'm not going to need all the rooms right off the bat.
Yeah, but your conquest bonus.
Nah, I don't care about that. I don't do conquest.
Yeah.
But, you do have a point. To clarify, that's what I was talking about doing. Like, I will pay the first 2,500 with cartel coins, and then everything after that I'll be doing with credits. I like giving them money. I don't like giving them my bank account.
Yep. Be a fish, but not a whale.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, you be a supporter of the game, but just don't open your wallet unconditionally to them, because that's just ridiculous too. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest problems that I see on the forums, that players always berating each other. Like, you know what, support the game, support the game. Yeah, I'll support the game. I am supporting the game. I'm a sub, and I'll pay for stuff outside of my own pocket, but I'm not going to, whip out $20, $30, $40, $50 a pop just for every new thing that they pop out. I actually want to see, what it's going to be worth to me. And worth is always going to be subjective. And that's the biggest problem, is that everything's subjective.
Well, that's the beautiful thing, Lou. If you whip out actual money to pay them every time they do something like this, you'll still only be doing that a couple times a year. Because they don't exactly throw stuff like this at us. Okay, but I think that we have beat those couple points into the ground, so let's go ahead and quickly move through some of these points about the Yavin 4 Stronghold. As Paige was mentioning, they did say that it comes with one large room, which includes a very large yard, so to speak, leading up to the temple.
And you can decorate the outside leading up to that first large room.
And there's a giant landing pad where you can put a ship. And that's part of the initial unlock. Okay, then total, there are 16 centerpiece hooks for large items, like the Grand Statue of Revan.
They said that they didn't know how many total hooks there were in that stronghold, but when they had them on, there's no way you could have counted them. There were so many. Toby actually suggested that there are more hooks in there that you can actually use.
Yeah, and the centerpiece hooks are just the giant items, like the Grand Statue of Revan. And they were showcasing a few of the spots in the stronghold, which they emphasized that there are several areas that they weren't showing us, and there's secrets to be discovered here. But one of the areas that they showed was a large bridge that's unlockable near a giant waterfall. This is the one that was in the screenshots when they first announced the stronghold.
Very pretty.
Yeah, that looked amazing. That was one of the places where they finally quit moving and you could actually see it.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed us that there are hidden areas that you can get to by basically climbing up your temple. And you can decorate the top, and the roof of the temple has a giant hook and can also be decorated. They have
I'm sorry.
Were you going to talk about how to get up there?
No, I was going to say the idea is when you decorate the top of that, when you come in on the landing pad and you're looking at your temple, you can see all of those things from the ground.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, the way you get up there, they have these little interactive buttons you click and your character, like, rocket boots up there. And then the last little thing about Yavin 4 is that it has been confirmed that Yavin 4 will be coming in Update 3.3. And again, that looked way more polished than the Togruta did, so I have no doubt that one will be coming. And as we mentioned earlier, Update 3.3 is hitting the test server tomorrow with all the PvP changes. It will not be featuring Yavin 4 or the Togruta, so don't be downloading the PTS to test those. But please do download the PTS and let them know what you think about the PvP changes, especially the area effect damage no longer interrupting caps.
PTS test notes or patch notes are up on the PTS forum.
Yeah, Tate was saying that he was putting them up when they were doing the stream.
Then I believe that takes us into the Star Wars recommendation of the week. What do you have for us, Paige?
For those interested in actually getting a look at the recommendation of the week, I will be posting a link with a photo on the Facebook wall after the show releases to iTunes and YouTube. And this comes from Etsy.com. There's only one of these available, so I expect you all to fight to the death for it. And I'm going to go ahead and read the description for you. It just doesn't get more classic than Star Wars, probably one of the most popular soundtracks ever, even beating out Saturday Night Fever. Kick it old school and spin this at your next Star Wars party. Da, 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 da. That's what they actually wrote. They wrote that part. Condition, double album, gatefold cover, has moderate edge ring wear, original paper inner sleeves in great shape. LPs are super clean, VG Plus with very few, very light surface marks. Only both play great with minimal surface noise. Comes in new poly outer sleeve. This is an original vintage record. And it's from 1977. Artist John Williams, label 20th Century Records. think it's 30
pre-ordering right now.
Is it $30? I forgot.
I'm sorry, it doesn't work on my 8-track player. I can't buy it.
We had a record player when I was little.
Or
And
your
then I
sister
broke
has
it.
a record player.
I
Yeah, it's
broke the needle
$30.
off of it.
To me, that's worth it. This is an original. Come on, $30.
Well, why don't you buy it? It's only $30.
Why don't you buy it?
'Cause I don't
Oh,
have a
no,
record
I don't have a
player.
record player. You buy it.
That's okay. If Fallout ever happens, we all know what's going to happen. We'll fall back to the record players.
Fallout is happening.
Fallout 4
Yeah.
is happening.
Well, and get a direct drive turntable because that's all the rage among the hipsters. So
The hipsters.
Wasn't that the joke for a while where people would just be like, Fallout 4 confirmed? And now it actually is.
Half-Life 3 now is left.
yeah.
Now we have to look forward to Half-Life 3.
Well, I mean, we got Duke Nukem Forever, so stranger things can happen.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and move into the intelligence report.
All right, and tonight's intelligence report. A quick little blurb on the Imperial Senate. Maintaining control with the bureaucracy. Or in a quote we've all heard before from Princess Leia, I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. Not for long. The Imperial Senate, or Imperial Congress, was the de jure legislative body of the Galactic Empire, though in fact it held little real authority. Instead, it served mainly as an advisory body to Emperor Palpatine. The Imperial Senate was the successor to the Galactic Senate of the Republic, which was reformed when then Supreme Chancellor Palpatine declared himself sole ruler. And a quick little take on their history. The Imperial Senate was established in 19 years before the Battle of Yavin, after the Empire was founded by the self-appointed Emperor Palpatine, transforming the old Galactic Senate. Rather than risk directly seizing power and overthrowing the Senate, Palpatine subtly manipulated the Galactic Senate into voting incrementally more and more emergency powers to the Chancellorship during the Clone Wars. By the end of the conflict, Palpatine had gained near dictatorial powers. Wow. The final stroke came following the death of Separatist leader Count Dooku during the closing days of the war, when Palpatine issued a decree creating a new class of planetary governors and sector moffs, appointed directly by the Chancellorship, to oversee all star systems in the Republic. A minority of senators protested this action, but Palpatine brushed their complaints aside. Within a few days, the Clone Wars ended with the death of General Grievous in a duel with Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the execution of the Separatist Council at the hands of Darth Vader. With the justification of a Jedi rebellion, Palpatine ordered Republic troops to wipe out the Jedi Order, and in a speech before the Senate, proclaimed himself Emperor. Senators who vocally resisted were intimidated into silence through brief imprisonment. On the whole, however, the transition from Galactic Senate to Imperial Senate went quietly and without major incident. Emperor Palpatine did not want to risk tarnishing his public support by making open grab for power, so he allowed the organization to continue to nominally exist, though it had been gutted of any real functional power. Under advice from Padme Amidala shortly before her death, Senators Organa and Mon Mothma, along with other senators from the delegation in 2000, did not directly confront Palpatine's declaration of a galactic empire. Realizing they had already lost, and that further resistance would only be seized upon by Palpatine as justification for dismantling what little remained of the Senate, they determined that their best remaining option was to bide their time in silence. In addition, the newly formed Empire had always intended for the Imperial Senate to simply be a transitional buffer between the Old Republic and the New Order. Although at the time of the Empire's formation, a majority of senators were loyal to Palpatine, the Imperial Senate was still a prime, if often clandestine, source of resistance to Palpatine's authority, and despite its changes, came to be known as the last remnants of the Old Republic. Certain senators, many of whom later joined the rebellion, were known for using the Senate as a platform to voice proposals attempting to moderate Palpatine's rule, although always under the guise of perfect loyalty, and some also proceeded to secretly give aid to the Rebel Alliance. However, those senators' actions did not go unnoticed by Imperial intelligence. Prior to its dissolution, the Imperial Senate, under the approval of the Emperor, also issued intergalactic passports to anyone in the galaxy to give them express permission to travel through the 6 primary galaxies. Now we move on to the dissolution. And again, from a quote from Wilhelm Tarkin, the Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the Old Republic have been swept away. Alright, in 0 years before the Battle of Yavin, Palpatine ordered the Imperial Senate to be shut down for the duration of the emergency, ostensibly due to the widespread dissemination of the Declaration of Rebellion over the previous months. In truth, The declaration of rebellion was merely an excuse to eliminate the Imperial Senate permanently, due to it being a remnant of the Old Republic as well as having rebel sympathizers among the various senators, and because its role as a transitional buffer had already been expended, with only officers of the Imperial military being notified of this. As such, it was never revived. To fill the open void in the Imperial government, Copnor's Select Committee stepped up to the role of overseeing the vast Imperial bureaucracy, and the Imperial Ruling Council became the central leadership within the Empire, while the Moffs and Grand Moffs retained direct control over their territories. Eventually, the succession of the Imperial Legislature was filled by various councils, most composed of the Moffs, the Central Committee of Grand Moffs, the Imperial Ruling Council, and finally, the Council of Moffs. According to the Bureau of Operations of Imperial Intelligence, the Rebel Alliance managed to rescue many former senators who were willing to use their political influence to oppose the Empire. To prevent these politicians from openly supporting the rebellion, Imperial Intelligence sent teams to attack the senators' hideouts. 7 years after the Battle of Yavin marked the year that the Imperial Senate was succeeded by the new Republic Senate. And now we move on to their powers. Besides the name, the organization differed somewhat from its Republic forebear. Whereas the Galactic Senate had held both legislative and executive power, the Imperial Senate held only legislative power, though most of this power was in the hands of the Emperor, as he was the overall ultimate authority. Despite such, the Imperial Senate still held limited judicial authority, enough to try high-ranking officials in the Empire and possibly handle cases tied to into the Supreme Court. The Emperor allowed the Senate to provide him counsel in enacting new laws. It also had nominal oversight of the Imperial bureaucracy and worked on the Imperial budget. However, the Emperor made it clear that his judgments would be final. Imperial decrees would be issued without debates, court proceedings, or senatorial overrides. The Emperor could also call and dismiss the Senate at will. The Senate could also pass amendments to the Imperial Charter, and apparently had at least nominal oversight of the Imperial military. The day-to-day head of the Senate was no longer the Vice Chair, but Grand Vizier as President of the Senate. The Senate was, at least in theory, responsible for choosing a new Emperor upon the death or abdication of the current holder of the throne. As Palpatine had no intention of ever dying or abdicating, this power was merely a formality. Now we move on to its composition. The Imperial Senate was made up of groups of congressmen, senators, and representatives representing sectors in the Empire. Some were elected directly, while others were appointed by a planet's ruler. Because of quote-unquote human high culture, most of the alien senators were replaced by humans, who ended up representing worlds that were entirely non-human. However, alien senators were not unheard of, especially in the early days of the Empire. In addition, most power was transferred to the core worlds. The reason for the human majority as well as the core-centric political rule was justified in the official field manual for the Imperial military, with the claim that alien species of the Rim were unpredictable and given to violent outbursts, citing the Republic Senate's history as proof. And now I'm just going to go over some of the committees that were included in the Senate. First one is the Senate Budgetary Committee. Buckeye. The Senate Budgetary Committee was a committee of the Galactic and Imperial Senates that oversaw the development of the budget for the Galactic Republic and Empire. When a massive expansion of the Imperial Navy was proposed by the Republics, the committee fiercely argued with the Starfleet and Imperial Military Oversight Commission over the necessity of the expensive project. And now we move on to the Imperial Military Oversight Commission. And this department was formed from the Senate Military Oversight Committee and consisted of several Imperial officers and agents. Their task was to review data collected from Imperial excursions and battles and analyze any problems there may be within the Imperial service. They would make their suggestions to commanding officers and even to the Emperor himself in order to improve the Imperial war machine. The Finance Committee. The Finance Committee was the committee of the Galactic and Imperial Senates that oversaw the budget of the Galactic Republic and Empire. And a quick side note, in 52 years before the Battle of Yavin, it was chaired by a Bothan senator. And now a slight take on the Imperial Charter. Or in the words of Palpatine, we are an empire ruled by a new constitution. And quickly, the Imperial Charter, or Constitutions of the New Order, was the highest set of laws in the Galactic Empire. It represented the branch of imperial legal statutes concerned with constitutional law. The Galactic Constitution of the Galactic Republic presumably was the basis for the Imperial Charter, with several major changes including the nature of the executive branch, military and law enforcement, and rights of sentience, as well as the laws passed by Palpatine as Supreme Chancellor. The Emergency Military Powers Act and Decree 77-92465-001 were apparently part of them. The Imperial Senate had the ability to pass amendments to them. Whatever constitution the Empire used was presumably overridden by the state of emergency declared in 0 years before the Battle of Yavin. It is not clear if the constitution of the Imperial Remnant, the successor government of the Galactic Empire, was anything other than the Imperial Charter, but from around 12 years after the Battle of Yavin, a new de facto political constitution had emerged, with political and military power being held by the regional governors of the Moff Council, in alliance with the Supreme Commander of the Imperial Fleet. At some point, following the Second Galactic Civil War, the Imperial monarchy was restored by the Fel dynasty after decades of interregnum, though Moffs continued to hold considerable power. One of the Charter's passages stated that senators could not question an edict of the Galactic Emperor. It also included segments detailing the relationships, including political, military, colonial, transportation, and economic, between the Imperial government and the local systems it ruled. And this concludes our brief little take on the Imperial Senate. Hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, I wish to say thank you to the Wikipedia, StarWars.com, TheForce.net, and other Star Wars lore sites that are out there. Folks, if you enjoy the Star Wars lore and history as much as I do, please visit these sites, look up your topics, and enjoy.
As see here in the Old Republic era, we have Imperial Logistics, which Buckeye represents.
Quite. It is my favorite part of history, or technically the future.
So how much money does the smuggler owe you?
How many credits does a Bothan have?
I don't know.
This could get dicey, folks.
Depends on how many die for you.
I thought that's only how you make the internet go faster.
I owe you nothing. You'll be lucky if I don't shoot you.
Don't threaten an officer.
Yeah, don't threaten the IRS.
Yeah, he holds the purse strings. What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? He can't do anything if he's dead. Nobody will miss him.
Somebody will.
Someone that's expecting you to return back with your credits will.
Somebody that's short and fuzzy.
Manamachu.
Tricky.
Otto Ostoga.
Good.
Tricky will miss Buckeye.
Did you miss Uncle Buckeye?
He's getting a little too close. What's he doing to my leg? Get
It's
it
a
off.
girl.
Get it off.
Goopa Noopa.
That makes it even nastier.
Oh, did you give her the Jawa joy juice? That's why that's such a big puddle around his pants leg.
Oh.
Joy juice. All the Jawas around here go into the power core. How do you think we get the ship to go? That's the modification that lets this thing be flown by one pilot.
Buckeye, let me explain to you why I can't pay taxes. Because these fools don't pay me. So those are the guys you need to be after. I'm doing work for free.
We were gonna pay you, but then that bounty hunter took off with all Super the Hutt's money. Not my problem. Just keep flying the ship.
It's about to be your problem.
It's what we don't pay you for. So then moving into the community holo feed. First up is the trivia question of the week, where each week on our YouTube video version of the show, we ask a trivia question. Lou does specifically, and there is a button right on the video. This is weekly trivia. You click that, it takes you right to the question, and then Lou asks you a question, and you send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com, and in the email include the correct answer to the question, your character name, the faction of your character, and the server that you play on.
Do we need to include the faction?
Sometimes.
No.
And if there's more than one correct answer, we do a random drawing to win a cartel pack. And even if you're not the winner of that particular week, we still enter you into a drawing for a grand prize, which we announced last time. There is going to be a hyper crate included.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you haven't answered a trivia question yet, answer. Because even if we don't pick you for that week, you're still in there for that hyper crate.
The more times you answer correctly, the more times your name's put in that pot.
The more you know.
More chances to win. Just saying.
And it doesn't have to be wholly unprofitable.
Yeah, I mean, we got like 45 entries from Play now.
And you have 2 correct answers from play.
And I think one I even included faction server.
That was a joke, by the way, because we drew our last winner the last time Buckeye was here. So if anybody got excited that we were picking a winner tonight,
I'm your treat for tonight.
Although we should make Buckeye be the one
chocolate-covered dog crap.
No, I think we should make Buckeye come back for when we actually do the next grand prize drawing. Yes, one person will be walking away happy, and then Buckeye will be the reason why he's crushed so many hopes and dreams of other people.
Good idea. I like this. And then we claim no liability.
Don't blame us.
Well,
Well, he's gotta
Buckeye promised you a cartel pack.
Well, Buckeye's got to take 40% of the hypercrate as taxes.
We'll do a live stream, and Buckeye gets to sit there and open the hypercrate and then give all the items to the person that he doesn't want.
He likes it.
I just get 40% of the hypercrate's value.
It'll be like an unboxing video. Buckeye opens it and then gives all the items to the person. Oh, look at all the social boosts you got.
Oh, look at that. I got this cool Rancor mount. Taxes. This is the Imperial Tithe right here, folks.
Vendor them, because that's the true fair market value.
Speaking of the trivia question of the week, do you have a winner from last week, Lou?
Yes, we do. And last week's winner is Mike T, a.k.a. T'Chuck, who correctly guessed the answer. Did anyone else guess it? Want to take a shot? Well, Freddie put it in the notes, damn it.
Play guessed it. He's not in the notes. We don't give janitor access to show notes. But he did get it correct as well.
Okay, so last week's answer was Darth Bane. Yes.
Sorry, Pele. Random.org didn't pick you tonight.
That's okay. I was just happy I actually knew the answer.
You're still in there for the grand prize drawing, though.
All right, for those of you who may not have guessed it correctly, remember if you read the Bane books, okay, he started off as a miner.
Sounds like Buckeye.
Yeah.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
And, you know, Bane's first, one of many run-ins of the law, the one that actually caused him to run was the fact that he accidentally killed a soldier in self-defense. Yes, of course he was a force sensitive. He used it to his advantage when he was growing up. But when he finally fled, all right, he did join the Sith, but not as an apprentice, not as an acolyte, but as a common foot soldier. All right, Bane started off as a regular soldier, weapons, grenades, knives, you guess, he was that. All right, he wasn't wielding a saber or anything like that. He was in there in the dirt with the rest of the Sith soldiers. And remember, if you read the books, his first apprentice, his only apprentice, was Xana, okay? Who had a different name at the time, but he named her Xana.
Rain.
Yep, her name was Rain. Found her on the battlefield.
Just all these various lower segments, you've spoiled it all for me.
Yeah, right. He found her on the battlefield after she had killed several Jedi because they accidentally killed her friend, one of the alien creatures that she had befriended on the planet. All right, and of course, we all know what happened. Bane would institute the rule of two, telling Xana point blank, if you really want the power, you really want the title, guess what you're going to have to do one day? Take it over my cold, dead body. And she did. But,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry, that's true.
We assume that she did.
Right, we assume that she did. So, there you go. So, again, to all those who guessed correctly, congratulations, and congratulations again to Mike T for guessing the correct answer.
And sorry to Play that Random.org didn't like him this week.
That's okay. I enjoyed the books. If I remember right, they were written by Drew Karpatian, who wrote Revan and was one of the people on SOTOR, so definitely a trilogy worth reading.
Yep, indeed.
Do they even have any big name authors left as writers?
They'd probably get him back because if Disney does continue the tradition of what Lucas did with the EU, I'm sure they'll get all those writers back. They'll get, who else? Other than Drew, they can get back, what's his name?
George Zoller?
No. God, not him.
I think his name was like
Timothy Zahn.
Zoller or something.
Yeah, Georg. They'll get writers like Zahn back to write new stories for them, which would be cool.
No, they'll just have Courtney Woods write them now. They made her a writer, and she does pretty good work.
Yeah, I like the stuff she's put out so far. Maybe, who knows? They just might.
And they need more content for their website. You're your biggest user-facing portal. You should have stuff up there on a regular basis.
I just read a story about Lana Benico discovering the customization kiosk and fixing her face.
That would make a great April Fool's joke.
Oh, okay.
I'd
Someone in the
prefer
live
writing
stream
the law.
earlier was like, who would you rather, Lana Benico or Caitlyn Jenner? And I was like, oh my god, did that happen?
Someone in the live stream was also repeatedly asking for Toby to take the clothes off of the female Togruta and put her in the slave dancer's outfit.
Oh my god.
Well,
People
we know it's
are
going to
so
happen on the
mature.
fleet anyway, so just brace yourselves for it.
Yeah, if you want to see that, be an Inquisitor and just put Ashara in a slave girl outfit. Don't wreck a community live stream by begging a developer to do that. Go do your ERP somewhere else. So, Paige, what's going on in our SWTOR community?
ERP. No. Okay.
Is that why Buckeye's here?
No, I'm here because
Hi.
of DERP.
Oh my god.
That's Paige.
Negative. Check out our fellow SWTOR podcasts. Most of them are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWTORnetwork.com. Corellian Run Radio at CorellianRun.com. UntiniCast at UntiniCast.com. SWTOR Skate Podcast at NewOverlords.com. The Usual Podcast at TheUsualPodcast.com. There are 2 of them on iTunes, Old Republic Radio and Healing SWTOR. And finally, the Bad Feeling Podcast at BadFeelingPodcast.com. Be warned, that's an explicit podcast. Also follow Madmar at SWTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWTOR community. If you'd like to have your podcast listed on this segment, send us an email, StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com.
It's kind of sad that this list used to be a lot longer just a few months ago, but it seems like a few of the shows ended up, well, one of them formally closed up shop, and a couple others just seem to have faded into the ether.
Oh well.
Hopefully we'll see some returns and some new shows launching, because the more podcasts we have, the more vibrant our community is, and the more people we can get on the GGC.
All your listeners are belong to me.
Speaking of the GGC, Paige is going to be on there.
They made the mistake of nominating me to represent this show.
That's okay. It was either you or Treek.
Me too.
And when's that
Treek
going
would
to
be a
happen?
lot better than me.
The next episode is going to be recorded on Saturday, June 6th. So
9 Eastern, right?
Yes. And I would anticipate that, I'm going to pull a Musco here and say this isn't confirmed at all. But I would anticipate it's going to come out sometime the following week, because UtiniCast is hosting it this time around, and Tio is normally pretty good about getting editing done and out. However, I'm going to tell you one last time how you can get a hold of us. You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. You can send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet us. The show is at StarWarsBeyond. I am at SithLordCorv. Lou is at GamerGuy11B. Paige is at Ace of Fiery. Buckeye is at SWTORBuckeye. And Pele is at WowPiper. And now it's time for our final thoughts. And we're going to start with you, Buckeye, then Pele.
Well, it's definitely always fun to come back up here on the show and chat with you guys and hang out and have a good time, and always share my knowledge with those less fortunate.
Yeah, you'll have to check out that stream when you get a chance, and then we can get you back on here to give us some more thoughts after you see what they presented.
And projections, as I was completely correct on Ziost.
You were completely correct. You didn't tell us about being able to go to the roof.
Details, folks. Details.
And my final thoughts are, I'm glad to see them showing us content in more areas. PvP, changes, not necessarily Warzone, but at least they're working on PvP. You're asking about strike fighters, a playable race, stronghold. It's good to see this content. You've got to work that cycle, and just mod the hell out of your Twitch stream, and please practice your presentations. We want to wow people. We want them to be excited. Show your excitement by being prepared.
I agree with Pele, and I also want to add, I'm looking forward to the changes coming to 3.3. Hopefully the Togruta will be part of that. And I don't know how I feel about downloading PTS and checking out those PvP changes. I still have a bad taste in my mouth about it all. And I know I should give it a fair shot, but I'm not in the mood to be fair.
I'm gonna go on there. We can go together.
Okay.
I'll be there too.
I will
Because
be
I said,
Somebody's got to clean up all that blood.
well, and because I remember Musco saying about Alderaan, they made a change to the capping on Alderaan Civil War. Everybody hated it, but literally no one had tried it on the PTS.
Well, this is a little bit more significant than a time change to how long it takes to cap something. This is literally eliminating those Void Star matches where everybody's standing by the door trying to plant the bomb, but just one person just keeps planting an area effect there so nobody can do it.
Right.
It's going to make it so it can actually progress now.
So it'd be fun. At least try it and make sure it's working. And what type of AOE, because as you guys discussed in the last episode, is it the grenade? Will that work or not? Obviously, the Sorks doing their channeled AOE, Force Storm and stuff like that. That shouldn't do it. So let's get in and give them reports.
But I will say that the Sith and Jedi classes that are doing melee area effects should still do it, because they got to be right up on the people's faces to do that.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Indeed, we'll find out. My final thought, I'm with everyone else. Hey, if you're a sub, download the PTS. Please get on there, give feedback. Test everything that you want to test. Be forthcoming, be constructive. Lend support. Let the devs know what's going on, what's not working, what is working. Because in the end, it affects everyone. So get on there. Show what you do what you can. Help the dev team out. And yeah, I am looking forward to the M4 Stronghold just to check it out. And maybe I'll check out the Zagruda as well. Maybe. Much better choice than the Cathar for me.
My final thought is the Zagruda looked amazing after they've worked on it for a week. I can't wait to see how it looks after a month and a half. Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast made in association with NSG Productions. And now it's time to say goodnight.
Good night from Imperial Logistics, and we will see you next time that we need to collect your taxes.
Good night from Imperial Sanitation, and back to cleaning up the bathrooms.
This is like Imperial government heroes.
Somebody's got to clean
someone who's outside all government agencies and the law. Your captain.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. See you all again next time. And good night from Sith Intelligence.
I'm from the Sith. F you all. Good night.
I've got a bad feeling about this podcast.
We don't do that here.
You've served your purpose.
Beyond the Stars trivia question for the week of June 3rd, 2015. First clue. I hail from a dying race, although our legacy will continue to plague the galaxy for millennia. Second clue. Early in my training, I developed a talent for interrogation and torture. Third clue. True to the traditions of my people, I would plan and plot for years, waiting to strike down my master with the right allies. Fourth clue. Despite my failure, I would gain immortality and become an instrument of terror for over 3 centuries. Fifth clue. Fulfilling a vision, I would aid a formidable enemy in throwing down my master. Who am I? Alright, folks, please send your responses to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. And in your email, please include your answer, your character name, the faction you're in. Did I mention the faction that you're in? And the server you play on. As always, good luck and look forward to seeing all your responses.
And just going to throw this in this part of the show, too. This time around, for our grand prize drawing, we're going to be giving away a hyper crate. So, good luck.
Send in those responses.